From what I see as a financial advisor, it's a very common dream amongst Australians to retire early. Now, while it's not the easiest thing to accomplish, I have seen many of my clients achieve early retirements, whether it be 2, 5, or sometimes even 10 years before turning 65. And if they can achieve it, there's no reason that you can't too. So in this video, let's talk through the 9 best methods I see amongst my clients that help them retire early and how you can apply these strategies too. Now, the most important key to success in retiring early is knowing your early retirement number. This is by far the most important factor. The key to success in retiring early, or what the kids call FIRE, that being financial independence to retire early, is knowing how much you need. You are going to give up lifestyle to retire early with less money in most cases than you would have if you worked all the way to 65. So what is the absolute bare minimum you need to survive? Is it ASFA's modest retirement standard, say $34,000 for an individual or $49,000 for a couple per year? Or is it their comfortable standard, which is $53,000 and $75,000 for a couple? Or do you plan to travel and need more than these comfortable or modest retirement standards? Most people I see are self-funded and they require somewhere from $80,000 to $120,000 per year in retirement. This is something I covered in my video, which talked about how you can generate a $100,000 income in retirement. These people want to travel more than once every 7 years or more regularly, and they really want to enjoy their golden years while they remain mobile and able to travel. Have you considered expenses when you're coming up with your retirement number that might increase when you're no longer working? That could be coffee, newspapers, reading, hobbies. Or have you also considered expenses that will fall once you retire? That is travel, commuting, professional development. And when do your income needs actually start? And when do those changes actually occur to your income needs? We've talked regularly about the golden, silver, and legacy years, but these come at different times for every individual person. So understanding what income you need at the beginning and the different points at which that might change. The second step I want to talk about is maximizing your super in the final 5 to 10 years. But this all comes down to when you can access that superannuation and when you plan to retire. Success is going to be about getting the best after-tax income, and the only way to do that is through superannuation. Superannuation is tax-free and the best place to compound. So if you're in accumulation, you're paying tax at 15% on the income and capital gains. Once you start drawing that pension, you're over 60 or you're over 65, that goes to 0%, and your after-tax return can be on average 1 to 3% higher than while you're in accumulation phase, based solely on the tax impact. Similarly, once you turn 60, all benefits you take from superannuation are tax-free. So the last 5 to 10 years is key to boosting your retirement balance. Whether you've paid off the mortgage, school fees, or you're starting to sell assets to liquidate, maximizing those contributions and your after-tax income will come down to this 5 to 10 year period. Those caps again, $30,000 per person in concessional tax-deductible contributions. That includes things like salary sacrifice and super guarantee, and $120,000 per annum in non-concessional contributions. The next trick to retiring early is investing outside super as well as inside super. If you want to retire before the normal retirement dates of 60 and 65, you need to think about investing outside super. How much cash will you need outside superannuation to cover this retirement gap, and how long will this cash last? What will you do with the cash that you're holding? Say you want to retire at 55, you can't access your super until 60, and you think you need $100,000 per year. You're going to have access to $500,000 in assets or income to be able to sustain the lifestyle you want during that period. How do we do this? In most cases, it isn't good enough to just hold cash outside of superannuation, because the impact of inflation, the impact of the cost of living means the $100,000 you have in year 1 may not be enough in year 5. You may need $150,000. And the question here is, how much risk do you need to take? And this comes down to very personal objectives and situations. So it's understanding that you may need to balance both the need for income, liquidity, so access to that cash, but also the need to continue growing that pool alongside your superannuation when you finally get access to that. The other question you should ask here is, should you be looking at other entities when you're investing larger amounts of capital outside superannuation? Family trusts can provide the ability to stream income to your partner or children in some cases, adult children, and companies also work in order to cap your tax rate at the company tax rate as opposed to paying the top marginal tax rate depending on your personal situation. Again, the appropriate strategy is going to be personal and tailored to you and will require personal financial advice to be provided, which isn't possible on a general video like this. The next step I want to talk about is increasing your income, not just cutting your spending. A lot of people that want to retire early are business owners, and a lot of people that want to retire early are very focused on giving up today's consumption in order to consume more in the future. But getting the most out of your business is key for those small business owners. Similarly, any small business owner or any business owner generally will know that it isn't just about cutting spending and expenses, as a lot of this FIRE movement tends to talk about. It's actually about growing and increasing your income to allow you to live the lifestyle you want and not have to scrimp and save on everything. So income alone isn't going to be enough to sustain a growing income. So just investing in term deposits at your 4% rate or whatever it happens to be, that's not going to be enough to sustain that growing income, nor is it enough to insure against the risk that your capital runs out before you do. You will need to continue to grow this capital, because if you're retiring early, most people that retire at 60 are looking at 35 years in retirement, if not more. For people who are retiring earlier than that, then you're expecting to invest for a 30, 40, 50 year period in some cases. So getting your investment strategy right will be crucial to compounding and having enough to fund your lifestyle all the way through past your life expectancy. Now, this leads to the most surefire way of success, and that is invest earlier and stay invested. Even if you are stretching, if you want to retire early, you need to be taking action today. Think about this. If you invest $100,000 today at $1,000 per month for 10 years, it will be worth $374,000, of which the returns represent more than 40% of this amount. And that's just on a 7% balanced portfolio average return, not a more aggressive return such as that being the average provided by the share market. Add the benefit of a low tax environment to this, and it compounds even more quickly. So the key here is getting started on that investment journey as soon as you're starting to think about retiring early. This extends to the need to eliminate your debt sooner rather than later. The only way to invest for your future is to get rid of the things that are pulling you back into the past. One of those is non-deductible debt. That's debt against your principal residence, debt against your house, debt that isn't giving you a tax deduction. And you want to get rid of this as quickly as you possibly can, because it gives you more options. You will either have more cash flow with that after-tax income, because you won't be servicing your loan, not making interest or principal repayments, or you'll have equity available to leverage and potentially speed up your investment strategy. But with that leverage, you naturally increase volatility and both upside and downside risk, that being the risk of losing money. Debt is both good and bad depending on your objectives, because you can use this equity at some point to sell your home and realize a significant amount of capital. If you have one, of course, and obviously the strategies need to change and be personalized if you don't have a house and you're more relying on the savings and putting that into compounding assets. The next step, and this can be super powerful and provides a big tax benefit, is using transition to retirement strategies. By this, we refer to starting your pension at the first opportunity after you turn 60, which, despite not getting the full tax benefit, if you're still working and haven't met a full condition of release, you can still reduce the tax that you pay. Think about this. If you start drawing a pension and say take $10,000 out of your superannuation fund per year, but you also reduce your taxable income by $10,000 by salary sacrificing that into superannuation, or even by working less. If you salary sacrifice, you will pay $1,500 in contributions tax, but say your marginal tax rate's 30%. You've already saved $1,500 in year one by executing this strategy. Getting to the emotional and lifestyle part of retiring early, one thing you need to do to be ensured of success is manage lifestyle creep. This is inherently personal. You need to ensure you're not getting caught up trying to keep up with your friends and neighbors. They say keeping up with the Joneses. Ensure your life is being spent doing what you enjoy as opposed to what others enjoy. That is, if you are trying to manage your expenses lower, could you be living somewhere else? It may require a big change in your lifestyle. Similarly, if your friends have jet skis, if they have holiday homes, if they have expensive taste in restaurants and wine, does that mean you have expensive taste in restaurants and wine? The key here is managing what you enjoy, managing your expenses, and spending things that give you purpose or give you enjoyment, as opposed to just spending things to keep up with your friends and family. One interesting thing here is that most capital cities are extremely expensive place to live, particularly in retirement. So a lifestyle change, like a tree change or a sea change, can significantly change your life and your trajectory and your ability to retire early. The last thing I want to talk about is the potential to take a mini retirement first before you step fully into retirement. Sometimes for people, it's more the stress of continuing to go to work as opposed to the need to retire early. Retirement is an incredibly challenging and emotionally driven part of your life. It is a huge adjustment. What I've seen work the best is people taking a mini retirement at some stage later in their career. It could be transitioning out for a while, taking long service leave, taking a sabbatical, taking several years off, testing out what travel and retirement is like first before jumping in with both feet. It gives you an idea of how much money you'll actually spend in retirement, or whether you're ready to give up work, and there's structures and importance that comes with that. Similarly, it can give you clarity flexibility in the many directions and options you have available. And in most cases, your employer may actually be open to doing this, and surprisingly open about it, and giving you flexibility because it may help them in terms of training and growing their own business. So once again, thank you for listening. I hope this video has helped guide you on the direction of how to retire early. If you're looking for more personal or specific advice, please reach out to our team, which you can do at www.wattlepartners.com.au.